This is pretty incredible what's happening, like
Yeah.
instantly.
Hey, loves. Today we have a very special guest on the show. This is a new type of episode that I'm bringing to Naturally Empowered Living where I will actually be bringing in people who I have worked with to have them share their stories before they started working with me, as well as their journeys through to the present time. Now, as this is a completely different type of episode that we have never really had on this show, I believe it warrants a special and additional kind of disclaimer. These episodes are a space for people to share their unique stories and their journeys through life, as much or as little, as deep or as surface level as they choose to. This is something I cannot script nor direct on how they are going to communicate on what they feel comfortable in sharing in this space. So this is your discretion to be aware that we all have different stories and experiences and beliefs. And these stories shared by those who come on this show are ones to be honored in their own way, as well as held in a respected container because they had the courage to share in the first place. So please honor and respect our guests, and please honor and respect yourself. Each story is our own. Thank you. Now let's dive in. Hey, beautiful. Welcome to Naturally Empowered Living, your safe space to guiding you on your unapologetic self-awakening journey. This is your weekly sanctuary for waking up from autopilot and transforming the way you approach life through the power of meditation, energetics, and root cause therapy. It is my mission to help you heal unprocessed emotions and release stuck energies by alchemizing your struggle cycles into opportunities for deep self-love, awareness, trust, and connection, to return to your innate essence of being, stepping back into your energy of alignment. Because here, we honor all parts of ourselves, the messy and the magic, the shadows and the light, embodying all parts that make you, you. So if you are ready to get to the root of cultivating real change, get cozy, grab your journal and maybe favorite crystals, and let's discover our power within together. We are back, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Naturally Empowered Living podcast. We are here today with another episode, welcoming on a live conversation about a transformation through root cause therapy. I'm so excited. Andrea Morrison is back. If you guys have not listened to episode 104, we had the best conversation of the magic of dreaming and integrating your subconscious wisdom into intentional living. Andrea was on the show with us back, gosh, I don't even know how long ago that was, but episode 104, go check it out. I'll link it in the show notes. And if you are new to this naturally empowered living world, welcome. I just wanted to give a quick rundown of what root cause therapy is. Because here we are, we're having a whole new type of episode coming in every couple months, bringing someone on to have a live conversation about the transformation, the breakthrough that they experienced through root cause therapy sessions with me. And just to give you a quick rundown of what root cause therapy is, it is a trauma-informed, subconscious level healing modality that facilitates the release of unprocessed emotions that become stuck in our bodies from past experiences, possible traumas, and that the stuck emotion, these compounded energies that have not been processed in that moment in time, they are now still presently causing possible limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts, behaviors, habit cycles, symptoms that we're presently living in our lives today. And through root cause therapy, it is a beautiful somatic based subconscious level release that brings integration, conscious awareness, rewiring, bringing in that neuroplasticity, resulting in lasting transformation. Like all the things, I'm so excited to jump in. So, I know this is a lot of me talking right now. I'm so excited to pass the mic over to Andrea, but first I wanted to share a written testimony that she also wrote. So here goes, and then I'll pass the mic over to her. She says, Jenna and her root cause therapy sessions have helped me in ways that I didn't know were possible. I've tried so many different tools, modalities, and practices, and my sessions with Jenna, they truly shifted me from deep within. There were so many elements to each session that provided insights into myself, my limiting beliefs, and how to finally achieve my desires. Since doing root cause therapy, I've experienced profound growth and confidence. Confidence, like triple underline, bold. It's been beautiful, Andrea. Plus, she's also experienced incredible synchronicities that has definitely give credit to root cause therapy and those sessions. I loved the whole process, especially being able to not only witness powerful memories, but also partake in them and redefine them. I will never forget my journey. Jenna was an incredible guide who made me feel safe, seen, and understood. And I will eternally, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. I will eternally be grateful for the transformation that she inspired within me. Oh, Andrea, I love you so, so dearly. Oh,
It's
I'm like,
making me emotional too.
um, let's jump head first, okay? Are you ready?
Yeah, I want to add like a little thing too. That
Yeah.
whole testimonial was written from my heart, not from ChatGPT. It was all very true, and I stand by everything. And I think I wrote that probably a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago,
Mhm.
and it's wild to think about even just the past month and a half, 2 months, and how much more things
Yeah.
have developed and happened.
The be
So,
the beautiful
I
integration.
want to go back and do it again.
Please, oh my gosh, anytime. Well, and that's the thing too. Like, oh, I feel like I just said this in an episode, and it's a quote. And you know me and my quotes, but it's like you can't heal your way through the human experience. Like it's a
Mhm.
constant evolution, it's a constant journey, and it's just like people go through talk therapy or like they go through like a certain amount of segregated sessions or one, two, and three, and then they think you're done, or
Yeah,
you think you're done,
yeah,
and it's like no,
yeah,
it's and it's not a failure. It's a beautiful evolution and growth, and
yeah.
it just blossoms. I just pictured this flower in my mind, like this beautiful blossoming, unfolding, and oh, I don't know. All right, let's jump head first. I want to ask you a question, and I mean, maybe this could just peel back some layers, go as deep as you want with this. We'll, see kind of where this conversation goes, but how did you feel? I know feel, quote unquote, because there's so many different avenues, but how did you feel before starting your root cause therapy journey
hmm
with naturally
hmm
empowered living? How do you feel now? I know, it's so
Uh,
open-ended.
well, I mean, the timing of our first session together was perfect timing because I was literally a week out from having a massive breakup. And my whole life, I mean, I was living in Vietnam, I was traveling, I was living with my boyfriend, and my whole life was over in Asia. And then in October, I had to come home and I've been doing some family caretaking. And then by the time at the end of December came, that's when it kind of hit, it's even hard to talk about now, but it was time to kind of close that chapter slash book. It really was like a full book. And so the start of 2025 was a fresh slate, clean slate.
Mhm.
Um, and I was feeling very overwhelmed. I was feeling confused. I was obviously very sad and heartbroken. So the fact that we had our first session so soon after all this happened, it was perfect because what surprised me was I thought the sessions, I was trying to prepare for them. I was trying to think about like, okay, what are my memories going to be?
Mhm.
What are the root causes going to be? I was consciously trying to figure them out so that I could do the session quote unquote right.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
I was like nervous that things weren't going to be able to come up for me naturally.
Mhm.
And I thought a lot of the things I was going to be talking about were my had to do with my breakup
Yeah.
and everything that that entailed. And then when we had our first session, and I basically time traveled back to being a 2 year old and I was a toddler, and it was like, wait a second, the things that I thought were going to be a source of my, for lack of better words, suffering. I
Mhm.
thought it was going to be the recent stuff, but in actuality, it was so much further than that, and it still had to do with love and relationships, but it was rooted in my childhood.
Mhm.
And so we've had these sessions, we've gone through these memories and healing, and now it's April, and I honestly feel like a new person. I am so, I know we worked a lot on my confidence. That was like the number one thing, not just within myself, but in how I view love and how I view life. And these days, I just feel like so many opportunities have been happening. I've been feeling so much better about myself. I'm like finding myself again. And I'm going back to yoga. I'm doing all the things that I love. I'm feeling like I have such a good morning routine and a nighttime routine now. And I just feel like I've got my shit together finally.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it, but I felt so lost in the beginning of January, and now I'm found, and now I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm Andrea again, and I'm excited about things, and
Mhm.
so yeah, it's been
That,
amazing.
oh, it is so amazing. And like how you're speaking right now, I'm being brought back to like our first session. I remember talking about like health habits and getting out and
Mm-hmm.
walking. And it was still, like it was still winter
Mm-hmm.
and gloomy and doomy and all those things. But like I remember talking and it's like, hey, but like let's not overwhelm our system even more. But like these are the things that we aspire, right? Like what are the things, the habits that you aspire to have? We're not biting off more that we can chew, but like
Mm-hmm.
how are we doing? What do you aspire? And here you are living. Like the
Yeah.
integration is here, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just so juicy and amazing.
Yeah.
Just love it. It's so
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, and the visual that you had before with like the flower blooming, I think about that too because I feel like it's not a one and done. It's like it keeps evolving over time. And like all these things are still developing. And that's why I love that your whole business starts with the word naturally, because I think with a lot of the things I've been working on, I've done so many courses, I've read so many books, I'm constantly in that personal development
Mhm.
healing loop, I guess you could call it. And I mean it all works. I love doing all of that, but I think we need to recognize that a lot of the healing and development is gradual and it's natural. It just happens like everything that you do really facilitates that and kind of creates a safe space to explore that
Mhm.
and brings up these memories naturally.
Mhm.
Because, like I said before, I had ideas of what the memories would be when I was in that meditative state. And then when you walked me through it all, memories that I have no idea where they came from. That's what was popping up for me out of the blue,
Yeah.
out of the blue. And it was because it was so raw and authentic and natural.
Yeah.
So, and it's still developing even to this day.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that back up because I wrote a little note down to circle back to when you said because that's such a natural, here we go again, but that is such like a instinctive thing like, oh, how can I prepare? How can I do this right? It's something
Mhm.
I'm not used to. I don't know what to expect. And that is something in the very first session that we do talk about is like allowing that space, trusting that first thing that drops in, but it's still difficult, especially if you're not really new to that space of like
Mhm.
listening to your intuition or connecting with your inner guidance
Mhm.
or things like that. So I'm just very glad that you brought that up because it is a very natural thing to try to do, right?
Mhm.
Um, and something like how a root cause therapy session works, and obviously you know this, but that first half, we kind of do these little exercises to help you really allow your subconscious or allow your intuition, whatever you want to call it, but
Yeah.
allow that initial answer, download to come
Yeah.
through, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it's so cool too. And I'm glad that you shared that just because it's like, oh, here I'm thinking, which very well could have been like your current relationship status, very
Mhm.
well could be re-triggering something of that response within you. However, what is the rut, right? And
Mhm.
oh, how you were brought back. It was
Mhm.
just, yeah, it's
Yeah.
so. it's just so profound. Like I don't have words. I don't have
Yeah.
words for it.
Right?
So let's talk more like about kind of staying on that same wavelength with this is what I thought I was gonna expect or experience, but like this is what actually happened. So were there other like specific moments or realizations that you had that are like that stuck with you that like have
Yeah.
made that difference within your life?
Yeah, actually, I think one of my favorite parts, I mean, the whole experience was amazing, but I think one of the, I don't know what you would call it, but a tool or practice
Mhm.
was the sway test. And that's something I had heard about before, but I'd never actually done it. And because it wasn't up to me to, because I'm an overthinker
Yeah.
and I think my way through things. And so to have you observe me, have me repeat certain phrases, and then you can tell if I sway forward or backward,
Mhm.
revealing my truth. And I mean, I work deeply with the subconscious mind. And so I'm fairly intuitive, but again, my conscious mind works on overdrive. And
Yeah.
even if I feel something, I'm like, oh, but logic.
Yeah.
And so having this sway test, and it was so fascinating because so many of the things that you said, like there were times where you're like, whoa, you moved real quick, or
Yeah.
like you moved forward and then you stopped yourself. And that first session where when we did that, it made me laugh because the whole time I was convinced that I was super straight and still.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's not going to notice any sways.
Yeah.
I am not going to have yes or no on any of these. And you're like, oh yeah, you have 15 forwards.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. I and it was so it's like your own your body is like your own pendulum.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest challenges in life is decision making.
Yeah.
And I remember I have a vivid memory of being at a yoga retreat once and they asked us, "What is your biggest fear?" And like the first thought that came to me was making the wrong decision. I'm so afraid I'm going to go down the wrong path. And so I've all that's why I'm an overthinker and I'm always afraid of making the wrong decision. And that's why this sway test was amazing because there's no mental activity allowed really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, I'm getting my answers organically.
Yeah.
And it just was that was one of my favorite parts
Mhm.
about it because then we kept doing it and then the number got smaller and smaller, basically revealing that my limiting beliefs were becoming healed. And I have evidence of that in my reality too.
Yeah.
So it just was really cool.
It's so, oh, it's so powerful. And I want to speak a little bit on this might be a little tangent, but like on that discernment of conscious versus unconscious versus intuition versus ego. Again, whatever terminology resonates with you. But finding like it's a practice that you have to, continuously be working on. I was just having a conversation with my husband this morning and we were hugging, saying hi, goodbye, whatever. And he's just like, it's so cool how you like can feel into this so deeply now and like
Hmm.
really connect on this level. Me 3 years ago, like it would be like, huh, what? Like it's so beautiful. And I still tell him, I'm like, you should read my diary, my journal. Like I feel like if anyone would read that, they'd probably think I'm a psychopath. But it's like, it's just like that automatic brain dump. But it's just so cool because it's like you still, even though like that discernment of mine, like it's getting stronger, but there's still time to process and integrate
Hmm.
and like, okay, like what,
Yeah.
so again, like that evolution of we're constantly healing. We're human. We're human.
Yeah.
Never gonna.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just so cool to be able to then live presently and like be like, look at your chapters, a year, 2 years, even a month ago, and be like,
Hmm.
wow, I've grown so much. Or
So much.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, how have you noticed like tangible things? Like how have you
Hmm.
noticed changes in your responses, your reactions, your, stresses, emotions, and, anything that you feel called to or shared to open up with. But
Yeah.
how have you noticed changes within your life?
Well, so I know one of the main things that I feel like we worked on together was my confidence
Mhm.
and kind of believing in my ability to do what I want to do and my business and all of that. And it's been really cool because even now, I feel like 3, 4 months ago, if I were to do a Zoom call or a podcast interview, I would be really nervous.
Mhm.
I'm not nervous right now.
Yeah.
I'm so chill. And what has been especially cool is so my line of work is I do online business management and I also do dream therapy. And for the longest time, I've had these opportunities to host dream circles.
Mhm.
And for about 1 to 2 years, I've been like, I'm not ready. I'm not confident enough. I'm scared. I can't do this.
Mhm.
And my first dream circle I hosted was less than a month after our first session.
Mhm.
And I was nervous in that first dream circle, but ever since, I have been so just feeling gratitude and happy and excited and like not putting all this pressure on myself. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with our sessions and the way that something internally like either clicked or switched. And it was like, and one of the things that we talked about, and I feel like I remember you saying during the sway test when I had to repeat, I know my purpose. And in my head, I'm like, I don't know my purpose. I don't know.
Mhm.
And you were like, you moved forward a lot in that one. And so as I started doing all these dream circles and feeling more confident with it, I was like, this is my purpose. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And the other side of it, a lot of it has to do with it could be and I'm bringing this up because I remember sending you a voice message like as soon as
I'm
it
gonna start
happened because I
crying.
was so excited. And it has to do with my dad and the relationship that we have. And it's not bad.
Mhm.
It just, there were things about it that were challenging. And I would find myself every time I went to go see him, I would get triggered in some kind of way. There would be some kind of, basically, I would leave every time like, oh, drained and just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to go back. I'm overwhelmed. Like, I don't think he understands me, yada, yada, yada. But I messaged you. It was after my third session, and I was so off that day because I knew I was going to dinner at his house, and I was so like, I was in such a bad mood that whole day, and I was like, this is not going to be good. Like, this could end up, I'm going to leave frustrated again. And I ended up kind of praying and channeling like my spirit guides and went into it with just like this intention of like go with the flow. And again, that's a lot of that is coming from the root cause therapy sessions because one of the biggest takeaways in one of the sessions was I felt like I was always a burden. I always felt like I was the cause of my parents' divorce, all of that. But the download that came to me was you are a source of healing. You are like, and then I was able to travel back to my toddler self as I am now and explain to young Andrea and say, Andrea, I know this is really hard right now, but this needs to happen. And it's going to be good because your parents are going to get divorced, but they're going to end up with way better people. So
Mhm.
it's not your fault. You are the reason that good things are going to happen. So I kind of had that in my mind when I was going to my dad's for dinner. And it was the best dinner I've had.
Mhm.
And when I left, I was like, I'm not upset. I'm not tired. I'm not drained. And yes, there were plenty of moments where
Mhm.
Andrea from a month or two prior would have been like, oh, But
Yeah.
I was like, go with the flow. It's all good. You are okay. It's you are strong. You are Andrea. You are love. It's okay. And I left and I messaged you and I was like, oh my God, Jenna, I had the best dinner and I feel so good leaving. And I've seen my dad since multiple times and it makes me want to cry. And it's like, it feels like my relationship is like turning around with that. And it's like, yes, we all have our flaws, we all have our challenges, but I love my dad and it's okay. And it's hard to explain clearly. It's hard to find the words to explain, but it's like all I can say right now is like I feel like I could cry and my heart feels like it's swelling because it's like it it feels like I'm healing.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
mean,
an amazing feeling.
let's just take a moment for that because it's such a beautiful like it as you were talking, it was like I just wanted to be like, yes, it's that it's a click, it's a pop,
Hmm.
it's a when you know, or like when
Hmm.
you reached it, you reach it and there's no going back.
Hmm.
And yes, it might take some time, it might take multiple sessions, it might take a lot of unraveling because it might be some really compounded, deep-rooted shit or
Hmm.
experiences or trauma or whatever, your situation might be. But when that rewiring hits, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and something in like root cause therapy, we do that within the session.
Hmm.
Like at this point in time, this is speaking to anyone, like not just to obviously your session, but how we process it or like somatically feel and release is we first have to validate the feelings that we were feeling in those moments.
Hmm.
If it was traumatic, if it was something silly, but we took it the wrong way, whatever it is, we are validating first. And then, like, we kind of see it from a different perspective, or we see it from the outsider perspective. But once we feel and release that emotion that has been stuck in our body because we felt it for a reason, and that is how you take that first step of awareness to feel
Yeah.
it. And then we work on, like I get so excited because it's just like this is the foundational stuff that, just and being a parent myself, it's like, oh God, like I sometimes I feel like I'm just failing my children because it's like, oh fuck, I just, yelled or this, that, or whatever the case might be. And I was like, oh God, I hope they don't hold on to that. But like there's always room for repair. There's always
Hmm.
room for repair by me saying I'm sorry or by, talking about it later and then allowing them, to process it then. So we're never going to have a perfect anything, right?
No.
If you're a parent to your children or, speaking as yourself, speaking to your parents, like from your childhood, it's not a naming, blaming, whatever type thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just we are validating where we were in those moments of whatever happened or whatever
Hmm.
event, but we stuck onto something or we clung onto something. And from that moment forward, we created a
Yeah.
belief. And
Yeah.
we have the opportunity to rewire it.
Yeah.
And it's just
Well,
like,
and it's like by doing that, it's almost like you're changing your past,
yes,
which is such a weird notion to think about.
yeah.
But I remember you just sort of held space for me to go back or to stay with myself.
Mhm.
And like that's it was such a new concept for me where I'm like, oh, here I am, Andrea now, and I'm holding myself as the 2-year-old who's witnessing, you know, everything that's going on in the house. And
Yeah.
I just got to be, I just got to be with her. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how special is that? And then to be able to explain to her, like, trust me, it's going to be so much better this way. Yes, maybe they're not handling it very well, but it's all going to be for the best. And you're going to witness true love because right now it's not true love with my parents, but
Yeah.
you will witness both of them finding true love and it's going to get better. And it's like now I have that memory, this new memory of speaking to my younger self, and it feels like my past has sort of been altered. And then everything after that, and I know that's part of the meditation, but it's like I kind of visualized it as like as I'm coming back to my present moment, you're going through all these like little pop, 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 pop,
Mhm.
like all these other memories that were impacted by the trauma that happened back then are also being healed because
Yeah.
you shifted it from the root.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's impossible to really put it into words,
I know. I
but
sound
I
so
just kind of
fluffy.
saw it as like bubbles popping. It
Yeah.
was just like, oh my God. And then you come back to the present moment. And you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
what just happened?
Yeah. I know. I still don't know how to describe it. I still stumble over my words when I describe like the definition of root cause therapy because I'm like,
Right?
it's so much. But it's
Yeah.
that's why I love like I think these are my new favorite episodes because it's just like, oh, it's so awesome. Um, can you share? I wrote this down when you said that you messaged me after that it was around our third session, second or third session.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember after our first session when you messaged me? This is like more of like a synchronicity. Like I'm always like loving to test our spirit guides, right? Or like testing like there's no coincidence, right? Like everything happens for a reason and how we're all connected, right? So
Yeah.
when you messaged me after the very first session, remember your phone rang during our session and it rang again.
Oh
Ah,
my God. I forgot about that.
it just
Yeah.
came in when
Oh
you
my
were
God, I'm getting
I know,
goosebumps
me too, because how it was so like you
because
can't make this up. You
it
can't.
was I'm trying to remember the order of it, but it was while we were in our session, I put my devices into focus mode so I
Yeah.
wouldn't get distracted and get notifications. Then when we were done, I had a missed call, I believe, from my dad and from my brother.
Yes.
And so I called him back and he was like, "Hey, I just wanted to like talk to you and like see how you're doing and check in on you." And I'm just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like, what? Where is this coming
hmm
from?
Well,
Like,
because yeah, it was that first session. Oh, they're blending together, but like you had
yeah.
a moment with your brother during that first session too. Or like maybe
Well,
he was
because
with you in a
I
room.
think he was in because he was in the room with me
Yeah. Yeah.
in my memory as a toddler. And
Yes.
he's 3 years older than me. So he had a better understanding of what was going on with my parents. And so, yeah, he was in that memory. And then to have his name appear on my phone after the session, it was
Yeah.
like, okay, this
Yeah.
is this is pretty incredible what's happening like
Yeah.
instantly.
Well,
So
and it was they both called
I
and obviously
forgot
like they
about
both were
that.
a part of
Yeah.
that session, like that release. And they both basically were calling to ask you how you were doing. Is
Oh
everything
my gosh,
okay?
thank you for reminding
Uh,
me. I completely forgot about that.
that I
Oh,
like look for like things like that because
yeah,
I'm like the sucker for like validation and like connection to not
for
the other side
sure.
necessarily, but
Well,
yeah, with angels and things like that with loved ones, but just to like we're all connected, like that energetic
hmm
just
hmm
entanglement of
Yeah.
oh, I love it. Okay, gosh, yeah. So, how I want you to talk about your journaling for a minute because after that first session too, I
Mhm.
feel like you like found this. You journaled though, right? But like was
Oh
it like
yeah.
you it was like this new passion came out.
Yeah.
I forget what you call it or called it.
Junk journaling.
Junk journal. Okay. But it's
Even though
beautiful.
it's,
That's not the
I
right
don't know
word.
if that's the right word,
Yeah.
but
It's so
it's,
much more beautiful and powerful than a junk journaling. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been an avid journaler for years and years and years. And over the years, it kind of developed from just regular kind of Dear Diary type journaling to like diving deeper into things, writing with my intuition. I journal so much that I even have this like workbook basically that has like 28 styles of journaling and templates because I'm obsessed with journaling. And it has developed into using more like colors and art
Mhm.
and stickers and washi tape and all that fun stuff. And so it's becoming more and more creative. And then I learned about junk journaling, which is essentially like scrapbooking in your journal. And, you're supposed to use junk and like receipts and napkins and things like that. But I just have a bunch of scrapbook stuff. And so I ended up making a whole spread. And this was like in the very beginning of my junk journal. And it was like I was tapping into my creativity more. And I made a spread about my first root cause therapy session. And I kind of wrote out what the whole experience was like. And in on one page, I just have the quote that says, or no, it said, you are a source of healing. And that was kind of the big like takeaway from the first session and kind of the epiphany that I had upon like coming out of the meditative state. And then what I love too about how, and I think you even showed me a visual of like the journey within the meditation where it's like you're like you literally visualize a line and you hover above it and then you go back to a certain spot. Then you can go back even further. And since I'm such a visual person, I was able to kind of draw it on my journal and write about it and kind of go into more depth of what this was like. And it's been kind of fun since doing that again. And I see myself, I for some reason, every time I went above my timeline, I was always in this like pretty white flowy dress and my hair was long and wavy and I would very ethereal and kind of like gliding like a fairy back in time, stuff like that. And so it's been cool to have this documented in my junk journal because I have so many different spreads now. And it's like all of the spreads that have come after, it's like, wow, it's like you heal the root. And now all these crazy magical things are happening. I'm getting back to myself with yoga, and that's a huge, huge deal for me.
Mhm.
And, the root cause therapy spread was one of the first ones. So I'm like, and it came right after I did my spread about my breakup.
Mhm.
And again, I can't stress enough how like perfect the timing was
Mhm.
of that. It was very good timing.
Everything's divinely orchestrated. I
Right?
just, and I wrote down, like I have a little post-it. I'm like scribbling down my thoughts as you're talking. But I wrote down journal and I was like, okay, well, I'll roll with it. But why do I want her to talk about her journal? Even though it's
Yeah.
so cool and pretty, but like I don't have a visual, way to share my podcast. I
Yeah.
don't do that.
And I wonder if, I mean, you could even share this on your Instagram post, possibly. I don't know.
Well,
We'll
I
see.
remember you shared the post, like you took a picture of it and sent it to me. And it was
Yeah.
so beautiful. But I like wrote down journal. I can do that. We should do that. I'll post it. But I like post on like a carousel maybe if you're open to
Yeah.
that.
I'm
Oh,
open to that.
I would love that. Yeah, well, I'll
Yeah.
post it on like the carousel when I promote the episode. But when I wrote down journal, I was like, okay, I'll just kind of see where it flows. And it clicked. When you're talking, okay, I'm calling you out here. I hope it's okay. Your word for this year is expression. Is it
That is,
is
you
it
know me
not?
so well. God,
Ah! I'm like
you remember things better than I do.
but like this is how I work. Like this is how my brain works. This
I
is
love
how I'm
it.
always
I
like
forgot
puzzle
that
piecing
too.
and bringing that connection in and the confidence and expression. Like that
Oh
was
my
what we
gosh.
were. Your word of the year was expression. I don't remember if we brought that into the first session or not because
I don't think we did.
you were very focused on confidence. And that does
Yeah.
intertangle with expression, right? To be confident to actually share your true expression. Totally understand that. But
Hmm.
we were very much focused on like that confidence piece.
Yeah.
And then it's like here you are doing this beautiful, just like expressive type of journaling. And it's just like,
Hmm.
oh, I love
Look
it.
at you connecting the dots. That's amazing.
That's what I'm here for.
I love
I love it.
it.
I love
That
it
makes me
too.
happy.
But that's just, it's so cool. I'm excited. We will share, check out my Instagram.
Oh my gosh. And I just opened to the page right before and it says expression
I love it. Oh,
right before.
so
Yes.
cool. So, so neat. Oh my gosh, Andrea. So, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Last question, last question. So,
Yeah.
if someone was considering root cause therapy, but maybe they're like, okay, I'm kind of unsure, I'm hesitant, like maybe it is like I want to feel in control or whatever it might be, whatever,
Hmm,
insert
hmm.
their hesitation here. What would you want them to know or what would you tell them based on your experience?
Well, okay, so I know I mentioned this before, but when I say I'm a personal development junkie, I really mean it. Like I have done all the things,
Mm.
all the things. And so I'm always looking for, not looking, but interested in new modalities. Anytime I see anything that like promotes healing or shifting things, I'm like, okay, sign me up. And so that's why I was so pumped about working with you and root cause therapy because it's like, I've never tried this. I've never even heard of it. I do have experience with meditation and getting into that state. So that came like fairly easy, but I have always been a skeptic. Even when I did my Akashic Records reading, I was like, that I'm skeptical of this, but I'm open. I'm
Yeah.
very open-minded. And so I came into the sessions, you know, trying not to overthink, but still overthinking, trying to prepare. But I think what everybody needs to know is that I'm just gonna like toot your horn a little bit, but like you create such an amazing, calming, open, safe space. Like even when we did the meditation and went back in time, like I had all the time I needed. Again, why does it make me want to cry?
I'm crying. So,
But
of
it's like I could have sat with my toddler self for 30 minutes and you would have held space for that. Like you
course.
guided me. You made it so, because I was nervous and you made it so simple. And it was, and I think also, I didn't really touch on this before, but another process that I love too was the future healing, where going above the timeline and then going into the future, which again, I want to cry because that's another like concept that you can't really define. You can't really explain it using words, but I traveled into my future and I was able to sit in a beautiful home with my niece hanging out with me, and it was sunny and it was just this beautiful modern organic living room that I try to visualize and I want to manifest for myself, and I was able to travel there and hang out and basically like kind of like what I was saying about like rewriting my past in a way by healing it. It's like by traveling to that place in the future, it's like I'm writing my future and now I have this kind of like guidepost, and it's like, oh, okay, you want to be in a living room in a house with your niece, but it's like that to me is like all I want is to have to feel good,
Mhm.
to know that this space is a product of following my purpose and providing, like I've always had a dream of like being in a place where there's a spare bedroom and my niece and nephew can come and hang out with Andrea,
Yeah.
and I got to see it in that moment, and I'd never really done it that deeply before, and it felt so real that I'm like, it's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
absolutely, and it's happening. It's on its way. It's
Mhm.
in my timeline already.
Mhm.
Um, so I would suggest like, I mean, I want to keep doing more sessions. Start with one if you're nervous about it, but you're gonna want to do more sessions because each time, like we didn't even get into the second or third sessions that I had.
Mhm.
And there were big epiphanies that happened from all of the sessions.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I say go for it. I'm rooting for you.
Oh, well, that was Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for just yeah, for those words and for just sharing
Yeah,
so
it's
openly
very
and
special.
yeah, it is something like you can't put into words. I mean,
You
you can't,
can't.
but like it's all for you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all for you. And like speaking of that future healing, I just got like this visual again in my mind. And again, like whatever you believe in, I've never really dove into like there is no time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
all living in one whatever, well, whatever, you know, if you really want to go that far out. But in another sense, it's like, yeah, I kind of do believe that because everything's already laid out for us. And yes,
Right.
free will, which of course can change things, and of course, but we're gonna be guided back, you know, to that path. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's like, why can't we see the future? Why can't we? Like, why can't we?
Absolutely.
It's so like as you were just talking on that, it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You just wait.
I know. I know. Thank you so much for,
Thank you.
yeah, having this space and this time here on the show with us and for just sharing
Of
so vulnerably and
course.
raw and open. I know that it's not, especially like publicly, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Being in a
Yeah.
session, it's obviously confidential and, you know, we
Mm-hmm.
obviously go as deep as we need to. But thank you for sharing so openly because this is a public platform and
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
I'm just so happy for you and like where you are and the epiphanies and breakthroughs and all the things that you have been experiencing. I share with us. Last question now. Like share with us where can we find you? How can we support you? Because yes, you
Sure.
are my OBM. I cherish you so
Oh,
deeply. And the work that you help me with, that we co-create together, just the support and
yeah,
Lord that you are for me also.
of
Um,
course.
but yeah, where can we find you and support you too?
Of course, yeah. So my business is called Dream Life Connection, and you can find me on Instagram and my website, dreamlifeconnection.com. And I do online business management work with spiritual coaches and healers and entrepreneurs. And I also am a dream therapist. And like I was mentioning before, I host dream circles and do dream therapy sessions. And I'm also one of the founding members of Dreamigos, which is a dream app. It's Dreamigos. And it's a really cool app where you can record your dreams in multiple ways. So even if you have a dream journal and write it down, you can take a photo of it and save it. But what's cool about Dreamigos is we have professional dream interpreters inside the app that will go and comment on the dreams and give you guidance and questions. We have psychologists. I'm in there. And so any dream you post, you'll get some type of feedback or prompts or anything like that. And then we have these free dream circles, and we're starting to form this beautiful community within it. And so yeah, feel free to follow Dramigos on Instagram too. I'm the one managing all of that, so I'm posting as frequently as I can with some dream tips and all sorts of magical goodies. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for letting me share.
Of course. Thank you for that you do and just again for being here with us today,
Yeah,
sharing all this
I'm so
beautiful,
happy.
just I keep saying beautiful, but like I don't even know. I feel like the last time we talked, I said the same word over and over. I was like, why do I keep saying the same word? Oh gosh. Okay. Well, thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.
And until next week, as always, simply be you. You have everything inside of you to learn your energy of alignment and be unapologetic in who you are. We are sending our love and light.
Did you find this episode free or empowering? Please read my review. Tickle, 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 boop.
Thank you for spending this sacred time with me on Naturally Empowered Living. If this episode brought you closer to stepping into your energy of alignment, I'd love for you to leave a written review and share how this show has supported your journey. Your feedback truly lights me up and helps others find the space of transformation. And sharing it with someone who might need it spreads the ripple of healing even further. Be sure to check the show notes for ways to connect with me and explore personalized healing sessions and mentorships to deepen your self-awakening journey. Thank you. I appreciate all you are and all you do.